what's the futures trading tip of the week? Start
Um,
off there.
Number one, Mondays and Fridays are the biggest days for trading. So on Monday and Fridays, I want you to use your big target. So ES 40, NASDAQ 220 and up, 440 and up. But on the days for you, those of you who don't listen, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, use your short target. Um, a lot of times we get in the battle of should we do the big target or short, but do both. Mondays and Fridays are usually the bookend days of the market. Today was a great example. The market was on fire. Today would have been a great day to use a big target. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, for those of you who have the skill set to do so, I will go for a shorter target, maybe 4 ticks, maybe 10, maybe 16, get in and out. So that way you have your income generating trades on Monday and Fridays, but then you can start to add some percentage gains on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays if you see a move there, and take advantage of the market. So, for those of you who are trying to speed up your journey, or you're in a more of an advanced trader and you see a move that's too good to turn down, get in and out of the market on Tuesdays and Wednesdays with a shorter target and live to fight another day.
That's it, man. Whole lot of game right there. So, man, we're gonna get into it. We're not gonna play no games because there's a lot going on in the world, and the people need the information. So I want to go to something that is right up there as far as the importance level. If you was in the EYL University class last Thursday, put some fire in the chat.
Yeah.
I know you had spoke about company, right?
Yeah.
And then there was some news that broke on that. So talk about that. We're gonna give them some window into
give
EY
it,
University.
just give it away. Yeah. So one of the things we've been studying obviously is the AI revolution. And we said that the AI revolution will be monetized. And so we've been breaking this down like to a fundamental matter where it's like, yeah, we know the big players, we know the NVIDIAs of the world, and we know the Broadcoms of the world, and we know the AMDs, but those systems don't work without some of these precursors. And so we've been doing very granular. We started with the memory sector when we were talking about Micron, and we talked about Western Digital, and we talked about Seagate, and we talked about connectivity, and we were talking about Broadcom. And we started to look even deeper, right? And I started thinking about how we can treat AI and really artificial intelligence from a power standpoint, but also from a connectivity standpoint, like a human body, right? So if I'm looking at what company is the heart of this, right, that would be easy. You would tell me NVIDIA. Well, if I looked at Broadcom as like the connectivity, that would be like the veins and the arteries of this, right? But in order for the heart to work, it needs to have blood flow, right? And it needs to have valves. And so I started to look like what would be the valves. And then I found a company called Fabrinet, right? And so if you think about it, Fabrinet is almost like that valve that allows the connectivity to run faster. I'm like, all right, this is great. And so we talked about that. We actually talked about that in Stock Club a couple of weeks ago. And I told people to do the research on it. Then we dug a little bit deeper. And I was like, okay, we've got that. Let's go back to this memory thing, because as I'm watching NVIDIA pull back and I'm watching Broadcom go down and I'm watching Microsoft, I'm noticing that this memory sector is not moving at the same length. So obviously we see Micron appreciate, and that even pulled back, but it was up over 200%. But Western Digital was up 260%. People kept putting in the chat, like, yo, this company, Troy, this company. I'm like, okay, great. So I'm studying Western Digital, and part of the research I see they have a spinoff. I said, there's a spinoff here, and it's called SanDisk. And I'm like, I've heard this name before, especially if you're in recording and you're doing photos, or you're in music and you're using a file, a hard drive, right? You know SanDisk. And then I look in February, they actually spun off and started to be publicly traded. And then I started looking at the chart. I'm like, oh man, this is something. And then I started to understand this, okay? Western Digital said, okay, we have the hard drive, right? And we have the flash drive. These are two different businesses that we can actually reap the benefits from. And so that actually went public in February. It's been going crazy. But I started to think about why. Why is this chart moving this way? Start studying even more. And then you realize, yes, memory is important. But Samsung said something 2 weeks ago that was even more important to hear. They said, we don't even have enough to fulfill the orders. And so if we don't have enough, it goes back to this. How do we get this going at the immediate time? Like, we need this. We can talk about energy and we need it immediately, right? We don't have time. We don't have 10 years to wait. How do we get immediate? So now Flash becomes a thing, SSD becomes a thing, and who's leading that? SanDisk,
Yeah.
right? And so if you look at SanDisk, it was great. I was talking about this in Dubai. We were having dinners, and I was talking about this. Even some of the people in the tech world didn't even know it was publicly traded. I'm like, no, there's something here. There's something here. Thursday in the class, we went over it. I said, these are the reasons why. Breaking it down. Friday, we saw it tick up. I said, oh, this is perfect. Before it closed, I got to get into this position. Today, we watched SanDisk open up at 220.
Mm-hmm.
After the bell, huge announcement. Guess what just got added to the S&P 500?
This amazing company has been doing well even before they went public.
So now this company is now part of the S&P 500, which means that could now be added inside index funds and added to the investment portfolios of a bunch of people. But a company that just went public, technically went public in February of this year, but it's part of this AI ecosystem. Like the pulls and like we always talk about the levers and the pulleys and the shovels. These are those companies now. And so that body analogy, when I was talking about it after the class, I'm like, I should really just draw a diagram for it. And so I started thinking, all right, well, here's the heart, here are the veins, here are the valves. Who's going to be the brain of this? You could say that, AMD or NVIDIA could be brain and heart. Start to think of it in terms of the body and how it runs and how it functions. And if anything goes wrong, right, then it won't function at its highest form. These are the type of things we got to look for, which is why we thought Celestica early in the year would be great, and it's performed outstanding, which is why we thought memory, like if we have a brain, we need memory, right? Like your brain is broken down into different components, and we know memory is part of that. You have to start thinking in that way. So these companies that are going to be essential and crucial if AI development is going to continue and flourish, which with all signs points that it will, you got to take advantage of them. So shout out to everybody that was in class and took advantage of it. I know we're probably up like 70% in like 24 hours or 48 hours. These are the type of those moments when you see opportunities, especially when we pulled back last week. It got up to 289. I saw it down at 186. Execute. And
it's a prime example of a classic company that is retooled. We talked about Google a lot, but this is another company that is retooled and recalibrated for the new economy that we're in. Gross profit margin is 27.9%. But this company has been well run even before it went publicly traded. And I love the adjustments that they've made to this economy. Unlike my baby Apple, who has not done the best. They are in that class that have done incredibly well at understanding how important they are now and will be over the next 4 or 5 years, as well as into like the quantum era as well. So great breakdown, great assessment. I agree 100%.
Yeah. The deeper conversation is that, especially if you've been into photography or even what we're doing in terms of media, this company has been around you for years.
Yeah.
Right? Like I walked in here, I have a SanDisk drive sitting here, right? I have cards, 52, 256, 1 terabyte SanDisk card. I'm not even thinking in terms of memory, storage. Oh, wow. The signs have always been there. But when you start doing the research, it's like everything starts to come together. Oh, that's why I keep seeing this. That's why I keep seeing this. Here's what it's being used for. Here's how it's going to benefit from the AI revolution. Like I said, it's going to be monetized, and we're going to make sure that we're the ones monetizing from it.
For sure. So you see me on my phone. I'm working through some things in real time right now. Apparently, YouTube has 2 links that they just started a new feature where you can see a vertical and then you can see a horizontal.
Yeah, I
but
see that.
It's like splitting the audience. So on a chat, it's not showing, like everybody's not in the same chat.
Oh, really? Okay. So they have a mobile link and
a desktop TV
desktop
link,
TV.
Oh, okay. That was happening. Okay. StreamYard is doing that. Okay.
StreamYard doing it?
Yeah, StreamYard. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's good. Now we know. Yeah, because I see it over there and over here too. Okay.
But where's it?
It says here, hide vertical. Let's see. I'm going to click it. Let's see what happens. Looks the same? How's it now?
I see it the same.
Chat,
let me know.
Chat, how are you?
I do have a question. Which in a year, which companies that are AI adjacent will not do well because it's been discovered they aren't class A or class B as some are advertising?
That is a great question. I'll tell you the best way to figure this out. This is exactly what I've been doing, right? Because again, before
let me just say something. Yeah. He's about to kill a vertical link. So if you're watching this and it's vertical and he kills it and you don't see it anymore, just come back on YouTube and watch it. from the other one. So it's only gonna be one link on YouTube.
Gracias.
Yeah. So before we ever talk to the community or we talk to market monies, like I told you, I'm going to research the company probably 3 to 4 weeks, sometimes a couple months before we talk about it. We've been talking about this company for over a month. Like I said, we've had dinners. I know the question is going to be like, well, how do you know this is going to be the first thing I do? Who are its hyperscale partners?
It matters.
It's the first thing I look at, because I know if HyperX scalers, the Metas of the world, the Googles of the world, the Amazons, the Microsofts, the Apples, if they're involved, I know the CapEx spend is going to be there.
And if they have priority, because some of them are reporting and acting as if they have deeper partnership with NVIDIA, Meta,
yeah,
AMD, and it's like,
exactly. So the key is now, if it's just one, I'm not convinced.
Yeah.
If I see 3, oh, I know something's here. If
Yeah.
I see 4, this is I'm pretty confident in this. And so a lot of times I'll look and it'll be the same hyperscalers. And then when I watch those hyperscalers report, I'm always listening. That's why we always talk about CapEx. Has the CapEx going down? Has Meta said we're going to spend less? No, they said they're going to spend more. Today, Amazon announced that they're spending an additional $50 billion. CapEx is still going, right? So these pieces that no one talks about, like we can talk about the large scale things, and we can talk about GPUs, and we can talk about the racks, and we can talk about liquid cooling. But these other pieces that make this engine go are going to be vitally important. And if those CapEx numbers are being spent from the hyperscalers, then we got to follow the money. Just follow the money.
And look at the partnership. Meta and Google are now working on TPU integration together, which is really important, because my biggest fear in the NVIDIA trade is Huawei and DeepSeek working together in tandem, because Huawei isn't publicly traded. DeepSeek is still private, so they don't have to report everything that's going on. So I do love seeing Meta, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple and Google working together, because the big monster that we have to defeat is China beating us to this race.
Yeah.
But look at the partnership layers as well. And if people are not integrated into the ecosystem, they're not going to be. I know there's a lot of reports of this company, this AI company is going to be the next 100 bagger. There's not many of them out there, I promise you.